lunch.
1 in 6 seniors faces the threat of hunger, and millions more live in isolation. Drop off a hot meal and say a quick hello. Volunteer for Meals on Wheels by donating your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org. This message brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to Lion Tales, powered by the Nassau Community College Foundation on the voice of Nassau Community College 90.3 WHPC. I'm your host, Aurora Workman, and our guest today, Jason Kahn, has worked at News 12 New Jersey for the past 4 years. So we were talking about how you find stories in local communities and all that goes into it, because we turn on the TV and there you are standing there, for stories. So we need, we want our students to know there's a lot of work that goes behind it.
Absolutely. And sometimes you have very little time to actually produce that story, get that story on air. It's actually a lot of pressure at some, sometimes you're pulling your hair out. Mm-hmm. It's stressful. It all depends on the kind of story. Like I said, we bounce around from one city to the next city to the next city sometimes. It all depends on what our schedule is like. Mm-hmm. But there are some stories where it just happens all of a sudden. Right. Breaking news. We call it breaking news, right? Breaking news happens. I get a call. They're like, you got to go to this place. Forget everything else that you're doing. Drop everything else. Go to this place. That's what's going on. And we're going to have you live at 5, or we're going to have you live at 6 o'clock, depending on what time it is, right? So, we'll go there. We get information. And then all of a sudden, I'm live. But I have to do this, in a concise and efficient way. And I can't look rattled. I have to look composed doing it. So you have days like that where you'll have to put some stuff together. Let's say for me for an example for you, kind of recent, Giants head coach gets fired or Giants coach gets hired, whatever it may be. And you don't know when exactly it's going to happen, but when it happens, you got to be ready.
Right.
You're called in to do it. And all of a sudden you're shooting up the Turnpike and you're in East Rutherford and you're standing in front of a camera, right? Talking about the Giants coach getting hired or fired, whatever it may be. But you have to gather the elements to create a story. So it's not just about standing in front of a camera. You have to look for subjects to interview about that topic, whether, the head coach might be coming out of the building. Let's see if we can get a quick soundbite from him. So you're kind of staking out, kind of like in law enforcement, right? You're staking out people. So there's some of that could go into it in breaking news. And other times, a lot of times with big organizations, they have public relations departments. And so they'll send out information about media availability and particular times for media to meet with players or the new coach, whatever it may be. And so then you have to be there at that time. We film it. And then after we film that, we start doing editing. Now it's very often that I'll edit my own stuff.
Oh, you do?
Right.
Okay.
There are a lot of reporters who don't, but it's more common nowadays, especially for those listening who are currently going to school here at Nassau or who are just in school around Long Island or in the tri-state area, that you will, after graduating, do everything. You will film your content. You will do the interviews while filming your content. You will come back, or stay out in the field, and you will edit on a laptop the story that you're trying to create. You'll send it back to the TV station, and then they'll want you live to show your story. So, yeah.
So you have to have experience not only just with the writing format and the actual time with editing breaks and stuff like that. I mean, your audience, when you sit there and do stories and your audience sees you, they know. Because I know from our local, we feel like we know you, because you're on TV. So you're out there also building relationships and contacts. Right?
All the time. Yeah, that's a huge part of being a reporter. It's building contacts, building those relationships, because you never know when you may need them again. Right. When I say need, I think that may not be the choice of word that I want to say, but you may want to reach out to them and try to ask them questions about a certain subject. Like the other day, for example, like a national news report came out about something regarding college basketball, and I had a coach's number who I had a great relationship with, and I knew that he spoke well and he can give me a lot of great thoughts. So called him, set it up, boom, got the interview, had it on air.
See, now that's important because a lot of times the students I know, even the ones who are writing in the Vignette here, they do try to form a relationship with some of the administrators or something. So if they can get an answer, okay, they actually can be like, oh, bring them in.
And the more times that person sees you, the more times, hopefully, that person trusts you. They trust your writing ability. And so you'll never know when they need a favor, when you need a favor, right? So there you go.
So what was one of your most ambitious, and I say ambitious, one that you went after in a story and it aired?
So probably one that comes to mind is that Rutgers, which is local for us in New Jersey, Rutgers University, they had a scandal going on with the football program, the athletics department. So we needed somebody to interview. We couldn't, we were just going all over. We're going crazy, breaking news. There's a lot going on. And so I kind of went after but I kind of saw my opportunity to interview the president of the university and asked him questions on the spot. There are times where you have to do that. It's fair game, asking questions about that, and basically put that story together about interviewing the president. A lot of the interview aired, and we had our story.
That was great. I know that you were really proud of yourself for capturing that one because I remember the story when Rutgers broke about their scandal.
Yeah.
You're listening to Lion Tales on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. My name is Aurora Workman, and along with my friend who's not here, I'm here with Jason Kahn today, who works at News 12. And so we've been talking about the aspects of putting news together or letting students and all those who want to be in the media field know just how much work actually goes in because, it's not that half an hour where we see you on TV and we're like, there he is, you know, or we see you riding around in that truck.
But, of course, say hello if you do see me riding around or anybody.
So we're going to talk about you also won an Edward R. Murrow Award.
Yeah.
That's big.
That was in Florida.
That was in Florida?
Yeah, I did a story. It's not a very uplifting story. It's unfortunate. It was a sad story I did, and it involved a couple of football players who unfortunately passed away in an accident, but the football team rallied around, and basically that's what the story was about dedicating the season to those players who unfortunately passed away in that car accident. So that story I submitted to that organization, the Edward R. Murrow, and I was recognized for that. They apparently liked the story enough to obviously give me that award. And, to this day, that's meant the most to me in my professional career.
That's a big award for the career, for broadcasting.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's huge.
And you've won other Associated Press awards. And so, we're looking at you, and we're growing. We're so proud because you did come from Nassau Community College, and so what are some of your hopes that what do you reach for in the world of broadcasting?
Well, I tell everybody you got to look for the next best thing. You always leave your options open. You always look for the next best opportunity, and so for me, to be honest, that's my mentality. I can go to the top. I can see what's, out there still, or I can be very comfortable with where I am. So I look at it both ways. I like where I am right now, but I always leave that door open. There could be a great opportunity out there. And again, you mentioned about it all started here. It all started here at Nassau, so that's important.
So I was watching a clip where you were with the Red Bulls, where they hosted a 3-day fantasy camp.
Yeah. Hey.
How fun was that?
Well, first of all, I'm willing to do anything, okay, as you saw. So I put on a uniform, and I thought I was playing with average Joes, but they were more than average. Or maybe I was way less than average. I was terrible. I don't know. I need to do better conditioning or something, but I was barely keeping up with them, and I was getting a lot of criticism on the field, rightfully so, as you saw in that video clip. But it was a lot of fun.
It looked like it was a lot of fun.
I had a great time doing it, but still, while I was doing that, I was putting a story together, interviewing some of the fantasy players, and still doing my job.
Right.
But that's like one of the cool things about my job. I get to do stuff like that. I get to put on a Red Bulls uniform. If there's an obstacle course, and just to give people a different perspective, I'll run the obstacle course. I don't think my cameraman would be too happy chasing after me. But, yeah, you can imagine.
But you look like you were having a lot of fun. I mean, I was looking at clips. I said, boy, you really have to be willing to do a lot of different things.
Yeah, you got to be flexible, and you got to have an open mind when you're a reporter and you have opportunities like that.
That one was a great one. So what kind of things did you learn from the pros just on...
Ooh, well... Well, I learned a lot from them during that fantasy camp, and I learned a lot. It has a lot to do with just your heart, just your desire, even though they weren't pros, they were pros to me.
Right.
But even though they weren't pros, but they still had a lot of passion for it. Just like, I have passion for what I do.
Right.
You just got to have passion for everything.
What was some of the exciting things that you have done?
Yeah, I get that question a lot, and it's hard to circle just one thing, to be honest. There's so many great stories that I put together, but being inside the locker rooms with the players and covering playoffs and going to the championship games, I love that.
That's always one of the most exciting things, that when I look at the reporters and they're out in the field and you think, wow, this must be the lifetime, the dream, the job of a lifetime.
Yeah, but those stories are great. But the stories I love the most, and I had said this earlier, is just the local stories, just the stories that the non-professionals, the kids, maybe a little league, who knows?
Right. Now, before we go, I want to sit there and ask you, what would you say about Nassau? You got your start here, and it's been good. What would you say about Nassau Community College?
The advice I would give just to anyone here looking to get into my profession or just whatever profession is just to seize the opportunity in front of you and just don't wait for it to come to you. There are so many, like I said, there's so many avenues here, and there's so many people here who are great resources, abundance of information here. And so don't just sit back and wait for an opportunity. Take that opportunity, grab it, because Nassau is a great place to do it. It's a great place to grow as a person and as a professional.
So what days can we see you, or can we see you with all the hundreds of cable channels?
I know. Well, it varies, but usually I work weekends, so you'll see me Saturday and Sunday night, 5 o'clock, and then it repeats, 10 o'clock, we're live again, and then Monday through Wednesday I also work.
Oh, that's wonderful. So we have Jason Kahn from News 12, New Jersey. And how can our audience contact you?
Well, yeah, you can contact me. I have an email address. Of course, reach out to me. It is jkahn, Kahn, @news12.com.
And that's wonderful. So I want everyone who's listening for Nassau to go and just go watch a clip. It's so fun watching Jason work. I mean, I enjoyed watching those clips of you. So we want to thank you for being with us.
No, thank you.
And I just want to say thank you again, because you do come back to Nassau Community College and talk to communication students, and so we are grateful for that. My name is Aurora Workman, president of the Nassau Community College Alumni Association, missing my fabulous friend, Dr. Lynnda Nadien. The creative director of Lion Tales is Rudy J. Breedy. This show is a production of the NCC Alumni Association. You visit ncc.edu/WHPC for more information. Available as a podcast on iTunes, Android Podcast, and Spreaker. Lion Tales is powered by the Nassau Community College Foundation on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. Stay tuned. We'll talk to you next week.